this fight is very important for every single new generation, in my generation too. I have a picture with this kid when they baby, and now I'm here with him. I'm so lucky because I continue to do my best.
We both respect each other, but as soon as that bell rings and we punch each other in the face, all of that goes out the window and it's going to be a war.
There are a few things better than rooting against a villainous type in combat sports. The problem child, Jake Paul, seems to understand this well enough as he's quickly become public enemy number one for many MMA fans as he continues to beat upon MMA greats.
Get my money, Jake! Get my motherfucking money, Jake! Get my motherfucking money, Jake!
Now, this trend might continue as he is set to face off with perhaps one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time, Anderson the Spider Silva. But this is a dangerous one for Jake Paul, which is why the reactions for this fight have so heavily been on Silva's side. And Paul, perhaps for the first time in his young boxing career, could have bit off more than he can chew. At least that's what many fighters think, but it's best to hear from them directly. So let's take a look at what the fight world has to say about the upcoming Silva versus Paul boxing match. Fighter reactions. Jake Paul has riled up several prominent MMA fighters and media members over the years. One such being the former UFC middleweight champ who famously defeated Anderson Silva, Michael Bisping. Bisping seems to be going with his former foe as he boldly stated that Jake Paul has made a mistake fighting the legend Anderson Silva. Bisping reiterates all the advantages that Paul might have going into this fight, but still feels that the problem child might be in over his head. So let's hear from the champ himself.
Anderson Silva, of course, ticks all of those boxes what Jake Paul wants ticking. He has an amazing reputation. He's well known worldwide for being a fighter, but he's 47 years old. He hasn't won a fight in mixed martial arts in his last 6, So as I say, this is the perfect scenario for Jake Paul, but is he biting off more than he can chew? Is the problem child, is the gamble that he's going to take backfire? Because it might do.
Another UFC fighter chimed in with his thoughts once the fight was announced. Matt the Immortal Brown has been a staple of the UFC for over a decade, and he seems to be confident that Silva will get one back for the MMA community, as he tweeted out the following: "Now it's getting interesting. Anderson beats him easily." Another UFC legend who is backing Anderson Silva is none other than the Iceman, Chuck Liddell. He had the following to say about the upcoming boxing event.
Anderson's still powerful, still sharp. And he's a striker. You had some good luck with some guys that were wrestlers that tried to strike. They're okay. Like, one thing you have okay striking them, and the other had okay striking for MMA. Yeah. But only because you had to worry about him taking you down. If you don't have to worry about him taking you down, it's really hard to land those big bombs. But Anderson is a striker, and he's been concentrating on boxing. He looked great in his last couple fights.
But Liddell also gave some props to Jake as he said,
"I'm interested to see it, so good luck, and good luck to Jake, man. The kid's fighting, he's fighting. He goes out there and really fights, trains and fights. Gotta respect for that."
Meanwhile, someone who wasn't totally impressed by the fight announcement was sometime fighter Dylan Dennis. Although Dennis is known to hate on everything the Paul brothers do, he did raise a valid point when he tweeted out, "Anderson Silva is 47 years old. Of course Jake is fighting him." Another interested party in the whole YouTube boxing scene has been the famed boxing promoter Eddie Hearn. He has had his verbal back and forth with Jake Paul in the past, but the two have also co-promoted a fight event together. He had a few things to say about the upcoming Anderson Silva versus Jake Paul fight as well, so let's hear from the man himself on this one.
Paul versus Anderson Silva. Are you impressed? Are you impressed that Jake is taking this fight? Your words, by the way, Plunker.
I don't know enough about Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva is 48?
47.
47.
Legend.
But he can box.
Yeah.
He can box a bit by the sounds of things. I think that Jake's been a bit unlucky because he was trying to fight Tommy Fury. He was trying to fight Hasim Rahman. And that would have actually given him the ability to say, actually, you have to respect me now as a boxer. To defeat Anderson Silva whilst boxing is still a very impressive part of his repertoire, he's still not a boxer, and he's 47 years of age. But he's a tough guy. He has a huge profile. He can box, and I think he'll be competitive. I don't think he beats Jake because I think Jake's young and I think he can punch a bit. But I'm intrigued to watch, and I like what Jake's doing. You know, I think he's out there. It's kind of like him against the world. You know, no one's trying to do him any favors in boxing. It's not YouTube boxing anymore, as far as I'm concerned. We've seen that with other stuff at the weekend, and we have to be careful about that on many different levels. But good luck to Jake, you know, and I would like to see him after this, if he comes through, actually fight some boxers, because I think he can beat some boxers, and then his credibility would definitely rise in the sport.
Now, if you've been following Joe Rogan for a while, then you know his thoughts on Silva's potential in boxing already, and how he believes that Jake Paul might not want anything to do with him. So his reaction after the fight announcement was a good one, as he stated on his podcast, "I love it. If Jake Paul really decides to fight Anderson, that's a very, very, very tough fight. Anderson, if he just went straight into boxing, would have been a fucking world champion." Rogan would continue to praise Jake Paul for what he's been able to accomplish so far, as he said, "Jake Paul is one of the smartest marketers that the fucking sport has ever seen, and he can fight. The thing is, people think he's this YouTube guy and he can't fight. The way he knocked out Tyron Woodley? Come the fuck on." Chael Sonnen had lots to say about this fight as well, especially as he was Silva's biggest rival in MMA. And well, what's the point of telling you guys what Sonnen said, as it's always best just to hear from the American gangster himself.
There's something inside of him, and if he is going to be a true competitor, and I feel he just proved that he is. However this fight goes, that's a conversation for another day. I feel that he just proved that he is. People are going to be very quick, particularly if he wins. I mean, it'll be before he gets out of the ring that once again he took on somebody past their prime. They're going to be very quick to do that. But I think if we're to be very fair here, we just got every box checked that we ever needed to. And we're now finding out that we got a competitor on our hands. I'd like to know where it came from. You'll play with Anderson Silva for 8 rounds in front of the world with your money on the line, knowing full well that a massive part of this movement is to see you fail. I just think that you really got to give him credit. And I think that he really has to be accepted within this community. Anderson Silva just beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. It's unbelievable.
Now, we already told you guys what one promoter thought about this matchup, so let's go to another, a more outspoken one. Dana White has feuded with Jake Paul several times over the past year and a half or so, and often White's go-to response was that Paul is too scared to fight someone as good as Anderson Silva. But now that the fight is happening, even Dana had to give the problem child some credit, as he said,
I don't give a shit what you know what I mean? But if he's really fighting Anderson Silva, if that's true, it's about time. Yeah, he's got a real fight in his hands there. You know, regardless of how old Anderson is. Yeah, that's a real fight.
Now, one extremely interested party in this whole ordeal is the recently freed Nate Diaz. He fought out of his UFC contract in September, and many believe that a big reason why he didn't re-sign with the organization is because he plans on fighting Jake Paul next. But for that to happen, Jake has to win. So it's natural that Diaz had a lot to say about this upcoming fight, as he said,
"I think they'd be stupid if they're trying to count him out at all in this fight. But I also see that Jake Paul could win and do well too. He's young, motivated, strong, inspired to box dude. So I think it makes for an interesting fight."
The problem child is someone who isn't shy to speak his mind, as this was evident by his fight announcement, as he stated he plans on exterminating the Spider, as he said, "My toughest test yet. I respect the legend, but he must be exterminated." Also in the pre-fight presser, Jake gave his prediction on how the fight will end, so let's hear what he had to say.
Anderson Silva is the nicest guy in the world, and we love him. If my opponent is a dickhead, I'm going to treat him like a dickhead and beat his fucking ass. And I think people have seen that side of me. I respect this man. I'm still going to knock him out, but respectfully knock him out.
Maybe not. So it's fine. You know, I like that because, you know, the energy involved this fight is so amazing, you know.
And while Anderson Silva doesn't usually have anything bad to say about his opponents, that stays true for this fight, as he has been respectful towards Jake and is focused on his own fighting journey. The fight goes down on October 29th in Phoenix, Arizona. Jake Paul will try to continue his rapid ascent in the sport world and set himself up for an even bigger payday in the future. While Anderson Silva will not only put all those plans to rest, but will become even more beloved in the MMA community if he's able to get one back for them and KO Paul. Either way, the stakes are huge for this fight, which is why so many people are interested in it and can't wait to see what goes down in Phoenix. So if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell beside it so that you're notified the next time we upload a new video. With that being said, you just watched what fighters think about the upcoming Anderson Silva and Jake Paul fight. We'll see you next time.